his fairground rides, the history. Now, we'll start before the First World War. Now, the fairgrounds then weren't called fairgrounds because the definition of a fairground was a place with animals, which we domesticated animals such as pigs and turkeys. They could be sold and eaten on this. Is what we would now call a farm. So the actual amusement park had swings, and then in 1993 the first Ferris wheel is made in Chicago, and I'll give you more detail on that later. Then, a very big date, the first officially patented roller coaster opened, one of the first metal ones as well, the Cyclone, and it opened on Coney Island. Again, I'll give you more detail later. Then the Octopus is patented by Lee Ulrich Eierle. Germany earns lots of money from the Hurricane when it first opens in 1952. In 1960, flying coasters become white-knuckle rides of their day as people are lifted off the tracks by metal arms and then placed down quite firmly, which is why they had inflatable tyres. Then some a bit less well-known rides, the Orbiter and the Bobber. But then new rides are always being created, and a good example is the Miami. It is a brilliant example because it showed everything that we would think of as a modern ride. Colourful lights, bright colours, and everything you'd expect in an amusement park. So now I will talk about the Ferris wheel. Now, where would we be without the wheel? We used it for transport, we used it for carrying heavy things, and now we use it for amusement. So there are two rides that led to the Ferris wheel. There were the overboats, or two circular rides I should really say. There are the overboats, which were powered by hand until the 19th century when they started using steam. They were originally pushed by an attendant before the idea of the hand crank in fairs came up with. Now, the over the top is the other one, and this one you'd get swung round and you'd be in a seat and you'd just get swung round on the end of two parallel arms on the opposite end, which was a weight. The specific type I've pictured here is called a gym swing, and there are several of those actually now. But of course originally they're very dangerous for no seatbelt, you just had a seat. But now they're a lot more secure, and later design introduced a cage-like structure for the passengers to stop them falling out. The Ferris wheel, or the actual Ferris wheel. So the original big wheel was created in 1893 for Chicago World's Fair, and it was invented by George Washington Gale Ferris. It could hold a lot of passengers, over 1,000 passengers. We have 36 cars, and each one accommodated 60 passengers. So the British engineer Walter B. Bassett built 4 large wheels between 1894 and 1898, and they were the first British wheels. And then the London Eye inspired theme parks to start using them again, and that's why they're so popular today. The roller coaster. Now, the very first roller coasters stemmed from an extreme sport called ice sloping, where, as its name suggests, you'd rush down ice slopes on your bottom, and then you'd hit. Sometimes I made mine, so I had one before, and at the end there'd be a bag of sand which you would hit. It was very dangerous and was a very popular sport. The French then borrowed this idea and But of course, they couldn't make these ice slopes because in their country it was too hot. So instead, they started making them out of wax, and in 1817 they created the Russian Mountain of Belleville, one of the very first roller coasters to have a sled attached to the track. The Americans also thought they could elaborate and made the traditional roller coaster with the rails. Now, in 1884, wooden roller coasters were everywhere, and the first it was called the Munch Switchback Railway, and it was originally to transport coal, but then it was converted into a scenic railway, which was very popular earlier, and it was finally turned into a roller coaster. And the wooden roller coasters started appearing everywhere, and you'd pay $1 to get on them, which was quite a lot of money in those days. Next is the Cyclone, and the reason I put fireworks is because it is a very big thing. The Cyclone was the first painted roller coaster and possibly one of the most famous roller coasters in the history of roller coasters. It's thanks to this roller coaster that we have them in theme parks all over the world. Some people even celebrate August the 16th as National Roller Coaster Day in honor of the first official roller coaster patent. Here is a video of a fairground just after the World War I. So over there in the corner is the swinging boats. They're one of the oldest pendulum rides and probably the sort of the paratrooper or other things. Here's the refreshments, which is raspberry and pineapple and lemonade, and then it's got double lemonade because that was the most popular drink those days. Then there's somebody in the restroom, and we quickly cut to the Helter Skelter, which has been around since before World War I. It's very big, and you can see the heads of children sliding down it. This was very popular, and the footage is from the British Pathé, which specialise in historical videos. So as you notice in that one, there were two because there are no rules on the Helter Skelter. This is the Carousel. It is quite a slow ride until it starts speeding up, and it's again very traditional, very big, very popular, which is why these fairs still have them. You can still see the Helter Skelter there in the background, which is why these fairs still have them. Now we're going to quickly cut to some swinging swings, which were again a very traditional, always seemed very popular. In the background there you can see most sets they'd often sell things at this. And that was Hampstead Heath Fair in the 1920s. And that is all from me on the history of fairgrounds. So